So it was about a year ago that WWE created the first NXT special show on the WWE Network, and it was entitled NXT Arrival. And it seems like they've taken something from that first special event and inputted it into this event, which will mark around about a year since that first special event. And the name they picked for this show is NXT Takeover Rival. And this is going to be my preview of that show, which is going to happen on February the 11th on the WWE Network. I will be watching it on the WWE Network because I've subscribed for the free February. So yeah. And while I think this show will deliver as usual, I think every single NXT special live event has delivered in some way or form. And it's delivered to the point where I believe a lot of people have been giving it a lot of praise. I still think the build to this show really wasn't very good. For the last few weeks, I've really been very opinionated on the build to this. I felt like the whole build to it has been very rushed. I don't think it was planned very well. I think it was pieced together very quickly, except for one match, which was the main event. So while I know this show will deliver, and there's a lot of matches on there that would suggest to me that it would deliver from a wrestling standpoint, I don't think they did a good job really building my excitement as they had done mainly to previous NXT TakeOver shows. But let's take this show apart match one by one, and I will go through my opinions on each match and who I think will win and how I think things will go down, etc. So the first match I'm going to talk about on this NXT TakeOver Rival card is Baron Corbin versus Bull Dempsey, which is going to be a no disqualification match. You know, they had to find some way to get Baron Corbin on the show, especially as it seems like NXT and everyone involved in NXT see something big in this guy, and I can see why. He's just, like I've said many times before, he's just something different from what you typically see on NXT, which is, you know, let's face it, short, independent-looking guys wrestling great matches. Whereas this guy is a massive fuck-off dude that looks intimidating, that's defeating people in 15 seconds. That's something different. That's how you make a guy stand out. And on one hand, I'm looking forward to see how they incorporate the no DQ aspect, because I feel like this feud, to a certain degree, has allowed for the no DQ aspect to happen, despite the fact that it was announced last minute mainly. But on the other hand, I've seen Baron Corbin now beat this guy 2 minutes clean twice. So why would I want to see this match? I know the no DQ aspect has added something different to it, but he's beat him twice in 2 minutes clean. So you're sitting there as a fan thinking, well, I've seen that, so why should I really bother seeing this? That's just kind of how I feel about this match. It'll be interesting to see how long this match actually goes for. Will they use steel chairs or weapons? I highly doubt it, but I'm quite interested to see how this match will go in terms of its no disqualification ruling, even though I really know from this Baron Corbin will defeat Bull Dempsey 100% clean for the third time. The next match I'm going to talk about is for the NXT Tag Team Championships between Buddy Murphy and Wesley Blake, the new NXT Tag Team Champions, and the Lucha Dragons. And this is essentially going to be a rematch from when Murphy and Blake won the titles on NXT TV about 2 weeks ago. So the bottom line is, I'm not really sure why. You know, if they wanted to get these guys over in a big way, I'm not sure why they didn't just wait until the special event to do the title switch and maybe build these guys a little bit up for it first. Because again, this feels just like another rushed match. You know, Buddy and Murphy, they've been losing for the whole of 2014. They've been the resident jobber tag team. And in 2015, they beat the Vaudevillains, who, you know, were the previous #1 contenders. And so they get one win, and all of a sudden they're winning the tag team championships. And you're like, whoa, we've not really given this time to really progress naturally. You've just given them 2 wins and they're winning the belt. And now we're getting this rematch. You know, I really think that matches on special events should not really be rematches unless they're rematches in a big way. And, you know, maybe this whole thing came around because they wanted to do something with Kalisto as a singles guy, whether it is with his current gimmick or not. But again, much like the theme of this show, I feel like this has really been rushed to a big degree. Buddy Murphy and Wesley Blake are going to win this match definitely, though. One match which hasn't been announced for this card, but I feel will be added to the card, is Tyler Breeze versus Hideo Itami. And there are 2 reasons for this. Despite losing to Finn Balor in the semi-final of the #1 contendership tournament, I still feel that NXT will want to get Hideo Itami on the card. You know, you're not going to bring a guy in the way they have done and have him miss one of the special events. You're just not going to do that. And number 2, they've had Tyler Breeze, despite going out to Hideo Itami in the first round of that same #1 contendership tournament, they've had Tyler Breeze, you know, going in backstage segments, talking about how he's keeping a close eye on the tournament. So I feel that will bring these two guys together in a match. And, you know, these two should definitely tear it up in the ring, despite little or no build to this, apart from Hideo Itami defeating Tyler Breeze in the first round of the #1 contendership tournament. But these two, despite the fact there's no build, should still have somewhat of a decent match. And I think if this match does happen, Hideo Itami will get the victory as, you know, like I said earlier, he seems like a bit of a standout star in NXT right now. And it feels like the NXT are going to book this guy, you know, very strongly going forward, mainly probably due to his international appeal. So we have a fatal four-way match for the NXT Women's Championship. We have the champion Charlotte versus Bayley, Sasha Banks, and Becky Lynch. And once again, this was another match that, in my opinion, just felt like it got rushed out of the gate. You know, you had Bayley coming back and then attacking Charlotte, and then everyone gets a title shot without really earning it. I mean, Sasha Banks lost twice to Charlotte. Bayley has lost twice to Charlotte. She just returned. Becky Lynch is really nowhere near the title picture. So all these three have really got a title shot without earning it, which really shows me that NXT didn't really have any plans here, and they kind of had to just rush this at the last minute and just think, well, what different thing can we do? Let's just make a fatal four-way. That's just how it feels to me. But they have done well in the limited time they've been given to have all these characters, you know, give some heat between them. You know, Charlotte and Bayley, you had a little bit of heat there with Bayley kind of turning her back on Charlotte a little bit and having a bit more of an edge to her character. And more recently on the Go Home show, you had Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch getting into a bit of a kerfuffle. Which, yes, I know you Americans are wondering what the fuck a kerfuffle is, but it's not something out of Hogwarts, I will just say that. So they have managed to give these characters some heat going in. And like many women's matches on NXT special events, I feel like this combination of women will tear it up in the ring. And I still kind of expect Charlotte to win. And I just wonder where they're going to go after Charlotte. It kind of feels like she's done everything she's going to do, if you know, in the NXT Divas division right now. I still think she's going to win. I just really feel like maybe it's about time to give someone like Sasha Banks the belt so you can have some different title matches. Because the more you give Charlotte the time as a champion, the more sort of samey the matches are going to get. She's already gone through Bayley, she's already gone through Natalya, she's already gone through Sasha Banks, she's already gone through many of them. If you give the belt to like a Sasha Banks, you're going to give some, you know, more elements for matches there, more different matches, maybe against Bayley, maybe even against Becky Lynch with a face turn. It might work a little bit better. Especially considering, you know, it looks like they might be even bringing Charlotte up to the main roster soon. So we don't really know. It just depends on WWE's plans for Charlotte, really, this does. Finn Balor versus Adrian Neville in the final of the #1 contendership tournament. I must admit, I'm really looking forward to this match, despite the fact that, like most of the matches on this show, this #1 contendership tournament just came out of nowhere, was very rushed. I don't know about you guys, though, but I don't mind Finn Balor and Adrian Neville. I think that's going to be a really good match, but am I the only one that really sat there and thought, wow, why not save Finn Balor and Hideo Itami and have that match be some sort of staple match on this show? I felt that could have been a really good addition to NXT Takeover Rival, but they decided to go a bit of a different way. And despite not being in for NXT very long, I think out of the two, I would prefer Finn Balor to win. Really, as you know, we've already seen Adrian Neville face Sami Zayn twice now, and I really want to see something different, you know, in the NXT Championship picture. We've already got Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens going on right now, so I'd like to see something different other than Adrian Neville being a #1 contender, unless they're going to have Kevin Owens win, in which case I think, you know, either one of the two will create a new match, and that will be fine. But Finn Balor and Adrian Neville, these guys should tear it up. So I expect a pretty good match between these two. And that's the thing about this show. The match quality is going to be there, so people like me that, you know, do like to see match quality are going to be pleased with this special event. But like I said, despite the fact that it was a tournament, again, the build really wasn't there, and the build just felt very rushed, which really made it feel a little bit less special. Rather than having this spread out over 6 weeks, and, you know, giving promo segments to it, video packages to it, etc., images to it, you know, whatever. It just felt like, you know, it's all going to do it in 3 weeks, and there we go. And our main event of this NXT Takeover Rivals show is Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens for the NXT Championship. And what can I say about this match? The build for it started when Sami Zayn won the belt at NXT Takeover Our Evolution in what was a fantastic moment for Sami Zayn fans all over the world. They've seen him fight claw and nail to try and get that NXT Championship. He finally does, and his best friend making his debut at the time, trying to make a big impact in NXT, turns on him and becomes the #1 hated heel in NXT in the process. You know, and it's also been quite good TV in the process as well. I think Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens are two very talented wrestlers, especially Kevin Owens. I think he could do some really good stuff for the WWE in the future. They obviously have great chemistry in the ring with each other, and if there are ROH matches or anything to go by, this should be very good. I must admit, though, I don't want to see an ROH match between these two. I want to see how these two guys do at wrestling a WWE style. And giving me something a little bit different from what I've already seen from them at, you know, Final Battle 2010, and I believe they wrestled at Final Battle 2013. I want to see something a little bit different here. So a WWE style match I'm really hoping to see between these two. These guys should have a very good match. It's going to be a very good main event. I know that we're going to get one. But as for who's going to win this match, you know, I really kind of hope this one ends unclean, which is why I wanted it to be a non-title match, really, because I felt like if you wanted to, you could have Kevin Owens get the victory, and maybe you could become the #1 contender that way. But essentially, at the end of the day, I'm not sure, with the momentum they have, that either one of these guys should lose. I mean, you got Sami Zayn, who's just come off the biggest victory of his NXT career at the last special event. You've had Kevin Owens, who's made a big impact in NXT on the last special event, and now these two Goliaths are facing off. So whose momentum is going to get kind of chopped a little bit? You know, this is one of the reasons why I think it's going to end unclean, and maybe they bring someone else in using that #1 contendership tournament for the time being, and maybe have them face off at somewhere down the line on another special event. I don't really know, but at this point in time, I don't really see how any of these two guys could lose. I really don't. So that's why I hope this one ends unclean. But in the process, if it does end unclean, I hope these guys, you know, go out there and do give us a good WWE style match and really go out there and try and tell a good story. It's also quite strange, isn't it? None of these two have really been wrestling too much on the NXT shows lately. I mean, I think Kevin Owens has wrestled, you know, Adrian Neville once and hasn't wrestled anyone else. Sami Zayn has been out injured and kind of had that small impromptu match against Ty Dillinger. So neither one of these two guys have wrestled on NXT TV, which once again makes this match feel a little bit more special, because these guys, they've not been wrestling on TV, but they're going to be wrestling on this special event, brother. So these guys should definitely go out there and give us something to remember. If it's anything like that, if it's anything like what they did in ROH, or if it's anything like what they, you know, what Adrian Neville and Sami Zayn gave us at the last special event, then this should be a damn good way of finishing the show. So despite what I think has not really been very good build, and build that has been very rushed going into this event, I still think we have some fantastic matches that could definitely deliver on this card. I mean, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, you know, really speaks for itself. That could definitely deliver. Finn Balor and Adrian Neville is another match that could deliver. I think the Fatal 4-Way match for the NXT Women's Championship is another match that could definitely surprise us. Most of the women's matches in the past have been the semi-main event and have been very, very good. I also think, you know, a no DQ match between Baron Corbin and Bull Dempsey is something a little bit different. That could maybe provide us something. So I think we've got, despite the fact that we've not had very good build, we still have some decent matches on this show that could really deliver in a big way. And at the end of the day, the build for a show could be crap. But as long as the show delivers, you know, in the ring, generally people are very happy about it, including myself. So I still expect to see a very good special event from WWE, or from NXT, I should say. And, you know, the main event and the way that finishes should be very interesting. So let me know what you feel, or what you think is going to happen, or who you think is going to win or lose, etc. at NXT Takeover Rival, coming this Wednesday night, or coming next Wednesday, sorry, on February the 11th on the WWE Network. Thank you very much for watching this if you have. Hope to see you there, and I'll be doing the review on February the 11th night, of course. Thank you very much for watching again. Goodbye.